My name is Leslie-Burl McLemore, and I am Professor Emeritus of Political Science at Jackson State University. The founding meeting in April of 1964 was held in Jackson at the Masonic Temple there on Lynch Street. And we formed a temporary executive committee for the Freedom Democratic Party. And I was elected to the executive committee. So I was one of the founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. That was really a part of the 1964 Summer Project, better known as Freedom Summer. And the major components of Freedom Summer, of course, was voter registration, which was the primary factor. No one was taking people to the county courthouse to register to vote. Where the sheriff was threatening you and blocking the door. And nobody had been going from door to door trying to get black folk to register in 1960, in 61. No one had done that. And then a second component was the development of community centers. The rationale was that in so many of these small towns and cities, there were no meeting places for black folk, except black people were meeting in churches, in the places where ministers would allow them to meet in churches. And of course, a number of the ministers did not allow the civil rights activity to occur in the churches. And then, of course, the third one was the Freedom School. I was naive. I really thought, quite frankly, that given what we had done, the precinct meetings, the Freedom Vote campaign in '63, all of the steps leading up to becoming delegates and forming the party, and given the history of segregation and Jim Crowism in Mississippi, also the fact that we had tried to recruit white people and had recruited a few for our delegation, I thought, that at least from the legal perspective, that we had the legal argument, that we had the moral argument. I mean, God clearly should have been on our side, and turned out that the legal argument didn't cut the muster, and I guess they didn't believe in God. But we did not, we did not prevail. But I really felt strongly that we should have been seated, and I was disappointed when they offered us the 2 seats. But that was the setting. I mean, the environment was of such that it was a learning environment, but you were, again, in this bubble because we were doing something important, and we were changing Mississippi. We were changing the world. The frame of reference clearly before had been centered around segregation, Jim Crowism, separation, apartheid in one sense, if you will. So the movement helped to move the country in a direction that it had not even foreseen. And fundamentally, you know this as well as I do, it's because of the documents, right? It's because of the Declaration of Independence and because of the Constitution. So unlike, say, South Africa, where they didn't have, in theory at least, the framework that we had in America. So if you think about Martin Luther King and his references, so often his primary reference was the Declaration of Independence. And in that document saying that all men are created equal. So that was the primary avenue that he used in order to drive home the idea that we all are created equal, that we all ought to be first-class citizens.